Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets. Interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages podcast. I am your host, Kim Wanup, and this is it. This is the last podcast of Emmy-nominated people for this year for production design. This episode today is with production designer Shane Fox of What We Do in the Shadows. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's episode because I really liked rewatching Wednesday, and production designer Mark Scruton talked all about his project there. I have been very lucky, and maybe because of the strikes, people had more time to talk. But it was been great just to talk to people and just to hear all the hard work that I know goes into these sets, but always surprised, even like with Mark yesterday talking about he built that whole city, that whole little town. I mean, that was crazy. And then today with What We Do in the Shadows and the markets that they had to build and the huge bar and like just amazing amounts of work to make these projects come to life. But that's what we do. It's like magic. What else? I talked about everything that I'm watching yesterday. Kind of probably should have kept a couple till today, but I did forget that I am watching Only Murders in the Building with set decorator Rich Murray and Patrick Howell, the production designer. Every episode is just too funny. And also on the podcast, creator, writer, director John Hoffman was on talking about his process too of the show. So I feel like I'm fully invested now that I've talked to all those people about it. And yeah, it's just a funny show to me. And Tina Fey's back on it. Sorry, spoiler, but yeah. I mean, Meryl Streep's on it. You gotta watch it. So yeah, that's, besides that, I'm still, as I said, starting this film study series of watching nominated production design films that have been nominated for Oscars throughout the years. So I deep dive into that. I watched a really interesting movie that I want to talk about, but I don't want to blow it. But it's a sci-fi film, which I don't really like, from way back, nominated for production design. And it was pretty interesting. Having just done space and seeing technology and everything, and the year that this was made versus reality of when a spaceship went up, it's pretty good. I think that NASA watches those things and just takes their designs. I don't know. Could happen. What else? I don't know if people outside of the Emmys get Emmy magazine or can look on the website to get it. You might have to be a member. I'm kind of sure that you have to be. But there is a terrific article in this month about David Milch. And he presently has Alzheimer's, and how they got all of these questions and answers out of him is beyond me. It's crazy. But I did just read his book, Life's Work, which I talked about extensively on previous episodes, and I loved it, and it haunted me in a sense of just sadness and that this great mind is no longer really with us. So it's really just a kind of a sequel almost to the book, or a little, not ending because he's still alive. So, but if you get Emmy magazine, you're a David Milch fan, you should read that. It's in the, what is this? The Driving Force. Rosario Dawson is on the cover. I don't know. I feel like two magazines just came out like in the last week or something. I just got. Sometimes they're kind of sporadic sometimes, but especially during Emmy season, they come out more frequently. So yeah, it's a good one. On this episode, I speak with production designer Shane Fox about her Emmy-nominated series, What We Do in the Shadows. Shane has been with the show since the first season, but as the set decorator, and then moved up to production designer in this fourth season that they are nominated for. With the sets being so rich in patterns and textures, we discussed how she helped create these moods with furniture and then the design of the sets. Shane also talks about the details of the vampire spaces, growing with the characters over the seasons, use of practicals and many candles to create spooky lighting mood, and also the blood. This Emmy-nominated designer also designs and sells wonderful, unique, and elegant hardware that she designs herself. So check out her website at Shane Fox Design. Her pictures are there, and then there is a link to her hardware that she sells. It's amazing. So I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, I know, right? Crazy times, but we're on the other side now.
Yeah. Where are you? Are you in New York?
No, I'm in Toronto.
Oh, you're in Toronto.
I'm Canadian.
Ooh la la. Is that where they shoot the show?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Toronto looks like Staten Island, sort of.
I bought it.
Yeah. Are you a fan of the show? Do you watch it?
I am an absolute fan of the show. I was late to it. I binged it all last summer. But I knew it's one of those things, like, I know I'm going to like that. I'm going to save it till I can binge it. And then I did like 4 seasons or whatever, 3 seasons. And then.
Right.
Oh my God. It's fantastic. Have you been there since day one?
Yes. So I've been, the first 3 seasons, I was the decorator, a set decorator. And then in season 4, I stepped up to production designer, did season 5, which is airing right now. And we're in prep for season 6. I'm still here. You're
still here. Well, congratulations on your Emmy nomination, number 1, because it's awesome and well deserved. So and every year because I look at sets and everything, even every year the show has been nominated for an ADG award, I'm like, people are watching it for the right reasons. Like, that's good.
Yeah. Oh, so sweet. Thank you.
Did you want to be a designer, or this opportunity came up?
Being a designer was definitely something that started to become a little more important to me in like the latter years of me being a decorator. I found myself in situations working with designers sometimes that I felt like I was, I don't know how to put it, maybe, I don't know what the right words are. Well, yeah, it just seemed like
not on the same page.
not on the same page, or doing too much of their work.
Yeah.
Or
been there.
Finding myself having to sort of dumb my voice down, or like keep quiet about things that I knew maybe I didn't want to keep quiet about anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And then it was more about, I've been decorating for a long time. It was nice to like start having different challenges and like thinking about different things and solving different types of problems and being able to make decisions that were bigger and have more impact than, picking the perfect fabric and the couch orientation and what kind of blinds we're going to go for in that set. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I have production designed other shows, just way smaller, totally different, not as interesting or on this scale before.
Yeah.
So, and then a show that is so close to my heart, like this show, and, every tassel, every lampshade, every cushion is like something that I handpicked for the sets. It just felt like a proper extension, like it made sense to be put in that role.
So did you let it be known, like, hey, if you leave, I would like to step up? Like, do you have that conversation? Not that, like, hey, I don't want you to leave, but,
No, it didn't really happen that way. The previous designer, she had some life changes happen, and she was going to move on, and I guess they discussed who best to take the position, and I think out of loyalty and out of not wanting to bring in an unknown, they thought and asked me if I would take on that role.
But someone knew that you would, like, They couldn't just.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I never said, "Hey, I want that job."
Uh-oh.
Those words never came out of my mouth. But it was COVID. It was the height of COVID, and that was at a point where our designer was not able to travel. So we're shooting in Toronto, and she was not able to be here. So I think inadvertently, I kind of, not that I did her job, but I became the point person on the floor here because me and my team were here, and it just sort of, maybe that's a bit of how it came to be.
Yeah. Did you find it hard then to hire a decorator and to trust a decorator? Because I think that would be my hardest thing.
I know. Well, so my main buyer at the time, my main buyer was Carrie Wiley. The day they asked me if I would production design, I took her into the parking lot. I'm like, hey, they asked me to production design. Would you want to be the decorator? And she looked at me and she said, only if we can win an Emmy.
Well, then, you know what? She's a smart girl. She got to put it out there.
I can't guarantee that. The likelihood of that is pretty slim. I don't know what to tell you, but, you know, she's like, well, I don't really want to take on the extra stress of decorating and all that stuff. And I was like, don't worry, I'll be right there. It's going to be hard for me to let go. So I kind of convinced her, and that just meant we could keep the rest of the team intact.
Yeah.
You know, so if she moved up, then it was that we'd just replace her, and all of our lead set dressers and all the everybody else could stay in place. And we really love each other. We're a very tight team, very tight crew. So it was really important that was a thing. And they were all like, do it. And she's like, I don't know. And then when we started doing it, it was like, she's like, I still feel like you're the decorator and I'm just like the lead buyer, but it's because I couldn't let go.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, I know how to decorate this, especially this show. I know how to decorate it. And I still love fabrics and curtains and couches and all the things that I can't just stop thinking about that.
Exactly. That's why I'm asking this, because I don't know if I would just be like, listen, go to Omega. It's in that row, blah, blah, blah. Like, I know it's there.
Exactly. I think, I mean, I'm just going to be that kind of production designer, I think, that does care about the set decor more than others, maybe. And I guess everybody has a different route to how they end up being designers. Some come up as from set design route, some are scenic painters, or, you know, everybody comes from somewhere else, and that part of you never leaves, I don't think. No. You know, I'm still gonna, you know, just 20 minutes ago, I was in the set deck office and I was pulling the blinds material and the flooring and the carpet, and I'm putting them all together. It's just how I do things, and we all gather around and we work together. But so I haven't really let go of that, but I
think it only makes you a stronger designer, having that know-how and having that, like, no, I know we could find that fabric.
Well, I know we can. You know, when I'm designing a set, sometimes I'm like, well, no, the windows can't go to the floor in that room because we need somewhere to put furniture. You know, you can't just have a room full of windows when you're doing an office. You need somewhere for the credenza to go.
Thank you.
So I do design sets, with these things in mind, because I've been handed floor plans and I'm like, how can I put a bed and a desk in here, and how we know the guy needs to come through the wall, which wall, like, it's not working because nobody thought it through the way a decorator would.
Right. How is that with decorating and designing for the show, with some of the special effects that they have of, like, you know, the bat flies into the chandelier, or, like, you know, going through walls or anything like that?
There's a lot of moving parts. We start with the script, right? We know, okay, here's the story, here are the beats, here are the question marks, here are the challenges. And then we work it through, you know, in the concept meetings. It's like, really, do you really want this chandelier to explode, or can it just sway? Or, you know, what are the fun things that we should be fighting for? You know, what's going to have the biggest bang for the buck? And then we work with the director and be like, okay, how do you want to do this? Where's the camera going to be? How do you want the actors to interact with this thing? And then if it really is like a crazy gag, then we know that the stunt people and the special effects people will have to test it. So we'll have to build a rig for them ×3 for them to troubleshoot it. And then on the day, we'll probably know we need another 3 takes for this thing to happen, you know? So things can snowball pretty quickly. That's why we always try and understand what are the biggest bangs, what are the things worth fighting for, AKA spending. energy and time,
Yeah.
resources.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, especially on this show now that we're going into season 6, with all the stunts we've done and all the wacky things, they keep trying to outdo themselves,
Right.
you know?
Well, yeah. They
Want to make it bigger, want to make it better,
Yep.
more cinematic, more over the top, more things flying around, more blowing up.
Well, yeah. I think it happens a lot more in comedies where development of characters and everything, and then if a network allows it, by the time it gets to season 3 and 4, they hit this magic stride of like,
Yeah.
okay, the actors know, and then the writers know, and this is the path really where the jokes are. And there is always, like on Parks and everything, like it was always like, well, what are we going to do now? What can we? So I totally understand that, trying to make it bigger, better, wow factor.
Bigger, better, and more interesting and more challenging.
More blood for you.
More captivating, yeah.
Kills me whenever, like, I know that it's this one that's airing, but that back of the store room, and he gets bitten, and it's just like blood everywhere. I was like, oh, what a nightmare.
Yeah, that was a funny, because you're reading it, right? And you're like, I think that was the first script of the season, and it was like the first scene. I'm like chomping at the bit to read the scripts, and it's like, and there's blood spraying everywhere. And you're just like, okay, here we go. What we do in the shadows. But we had to build that room, obviously, because you can't go to a location and spray blood everywhere. And in that case, we did the walls were like a fake drywall finish, so we just had layers of Toughback painted to look like drywall, so that we could quickly reset it if we had to. Same with the ceiling tiles, just pull them out, put in clean ones, and that's how we did that.
Oh my god, so much blood.
I know.
I was like, oh, I hope they did this, but I know they didn't in one take. Like, but I know they didn't.
We got it in the first take, so we didn't even have to reset everything. You know, we do all this planning and safeguarding, and in that time, they got it.
Well, wow. That's fantastic. That's amazing. Having like watching the show and then looking at your website and seeing pictures of the sets, the show is so dark, but it has to be, and it's great. But some of the patterns and colors in the walls and the drapery or anything do get a little lost. So I would encourage people to look at your website, because
you know what, I have to update my website. Well, it's like a few years old. The last 3 seasons, I don't even think are on there. But you know, you get busy, and the last thing you're doing is updating your website.
But even like, you still see so much depth in like the tapestries, and my God, I'm so in love with all of the lampshades.
I know, right? It's so much fun. Yeah, we dive into the details. Like, it's important to us to create like a really textured and layered environment. And I swear that sometimes when we give them a new set and they come in and they see all that detail, it's fun for us to see the reaction, but I think it also supports them in doing a good job themselves, because they believe where they are, you know, like,
oh yeah,
they're often like, wow, and like they pull me in and be like, what is that, you know?
Oh, that's great, because some actors just think elves do it, and they walk in and then they just are oblivious, so it's nice to know.
Yeah, well, they're focused on their own work, right? Like,
I have done a bunch of coffins, and I know that it's me, but sometimes it's props, but like with like Anders' coffin and everything, and the design of that, was that designed, or was that found, or like?
Anders' coffin, that was created during the pilot, which was done in LA. So I didn't do the pilot, I came on after it. So that was, I think the lid is 3D printed, and it was just a box they built.
You know?
Yeah, like a lot of this stuff is custom because weird things happen to them and in them, you know.
The vampires, though, each having their own room, and you being able to give them character in their own room. Is there a deep dive into vampire history here? You watching Bram Stoker's a lot, or?
I've watched a lot of vampire shows. I have a lot of, you can see like behind me, I've got a bunch of vampire books that are just references. You know, I joke sometimes that I am a vampire, because I feel like really fair skin, and I put on a lot of sunscreen all the time, and I'm like, I'm a vampire, but like I think there's some truth to it, because I've just been in vampire
Mode.
world, like we have weird conversations about vampires and what they can do and can't do, and you know yeah, vampire lore. And so yeah, I've kind of haven't watched a vampire film in a little while, but I'm always looking for the next fun one to watch.
I recently rewatched Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Coppola one from the 90s.
Yeah.
It does not hold up.
Yeah.
It does not.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Oh, but it's its own thing. It's just,
I know.
It holds up against itself,
I mean, I was a big fan of that movie, and I haven't seen it in years, and I was like laughing out loud of like, oh my god,
yeah,
this is so stupid.
There was a remake recently of the Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise one. What was it?
Oh yeah, it's a series, Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, I want to see. I haven't seen that.
Those sets are phenomenal. I haven't like watched it, but I've zoomed through for their sets. Their sets are pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I need to watch that. But is the show good? Does it?
I didn't watch. I only zoomed through to look at sets. I didn't watch it because I read that book. I will love that movie. I don't know if I need to do it again.
Yeah.
What else? How is it, and I know this for myself sometimes, of when you're finding set pieces or when you're designing the sets, you also have to keep that comedy in there and that balance of designing but like keeping the comedy in. Do you find that frustrating or like a different challenge?
No, I love it. I think on Shadows it's particularly fun because we have the luxury of being a period show that's present day.
Yeah.
So I can pull from any period. So sometimes it's funny to put like a totally modern thing with a Victorian thing, or I mean, that's just one of the things that we get to play with. The comedy is really, though, on the page and in the performances, and our work just sort of supports all of that. And if we're able to add things that we think are funny, sometimes they resonate and sometimes they read and sometimes it's just for us. Like little jokes between us.
I always think of that puppet as like
the Nadja doll?
Yeah. And I love that. I love the costumes and everything. I gotta ask, like, how is it like designing with those costumes? And I think too, like especially with sofas or rooms, not making it too dark so the costumes don't get lost because they're also dark. How does that? How are you going with that? Because everything's pretty dark.
It is dark, but I think I've noticed, like at least in season 5 that's airing now, I think they must have done some different coloring in post or lighting or something, because I feel like we can see things better. I think we're learning as we go the different DPs and just building on what we know, and then in post, I think they've lightened things this year. It just feels a bit brighter, and then I can see the details of the sets, like you were talking about, and the costumes.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, the darkness was tough in the first season because everything was lit by our set deck practical lights, which was like, we kept having to throw more lights in and more lights. And I'm like, you guys need to light the set. Like, can't just be.
Are you all hard ceilings?
1,000 soft ceiling.
You have soft ceilings.
They're like soft box.
So they can do it. They can do it. they
can, but then it was like too stark, and it's like finding the balance, and you learn as you go, right? And you see the footage, and I think it's gotten brighter, the show, and I think then our sets are more visible, like the textures and the patterns you were talking about. But the Nadja doll, Laura, our costume designer, Laura Montgomery, she's amazing. And if you've noticed that Nadja and the doll are always wearing the matching outfits.
Yes, I do.
So often I go into the wardrobe area, which is just down the hall from me here, and there's a rack of the Nadja doll clothes. So it's like a little dress that matches like Nadja's crazy poofy dress, and there'll be like little shoes and the little pearls and the little hair clips. It's like to die for. Adorable.
Oh my god. I love it. That character altogether is just like ridiculous and amazing at the same time. Like,
I know.
Love it.
So funny.
So funny. I'd have to say my favorite character is Laszlo, though. I just crack up. Yeah. Whatever he says, I just like crack up. I love it.
I know. His intonation, the way he like can draw a word. New York City.
Yeah. He's fantastic. Funny. How did you how did you, once you got like the show rolling and everything, because I've taken over after a pilot, I must say. I've done this too. Mm-hmm. And there's that feeling of, okay, we got to keep everything the same, but I want to add and I want to make it my own type thing. Even as a designer, if you're taking over the show, like how do you feel that went? Like, because you can't really change.
There's just constantly new things to do.
Yeah.
You know, we keep the continuity, keep the old of the previous designer, and there was someone before her who designed the movie and then the pilot, and then she came in and designed the first 3 seasons, and then I took over. So there's always that continuity, but like there's new stuff. Like season 4, we had a lot of new sets that we added. Like I added a kitchen to the mansion. We did the cabin that they went away to. We did, the whole Go Flip Yourself episode and the dream closet and the night market. And then things like Colin's room in season 4. Yeah. It was already designed, but we made an underwater version of it. So that's quite a redesign, because really the room was just 4 walls, but now we had to make it so it was safe for actors to stand in water waist deep, and scenes, and all of that was like a whole engineering task, and was quite a lot of work, which I really enjoyed actually, because that's technical stuff that I haven't really done before. So it was like learning and figuring things out, and was really satisfying when it was done, because here we have a set that's underwater, and then we use that same set and that same rig for when Nandor and when Guillermo fall through the floor into water into the basement we're seeing in. Like we multi-purposed it. So yeah, someone else designed Colin's room, but we had to figure out how to make it underwater.
Right. Which
not simple.
No. It's almost probably a redesign in safety. It's a redesign for lighting. It's a redesign for actors. It's a whole
100%. And like logistically, it was crazy because we had to have a pre-flooded room, the flooded room, a post-flooded room with evidence of flooding, and then I think there was one more. We ended up building that room 4 times.
Oh my god!
Because there were just 4 different scenarios that needed to be. So logistically, it's like, wait, which room is this? Which version? And then like, scheduling it. It's like, okay, this is post-flooding, complicated stuff.
I'm mixing it up. Was the nightclub last season? Not just nightclub?
Oh, sorry. You just cut it. Oh yeah, not just nightclub. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was huge set.
Season 4.
Huge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I mean we were repurposing the archives library, which is from season 3 , but we had to do the branding. Here, there's her.
Yeah, you got her neon in the back of you. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we branded it, and then we built a stage, and we had to build the big bar thing, and then the blood rig and the sprinklers, and yeah, it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
So,
but it looked fantastic. I mean, a bar's enough work, but like. It looks huge on the screen too. Like it
wasn't tiny. It's quite a big place. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big set.
Yeah. The height of the ceilings looks huge too.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but the chandeliers in there are 8 feet in diameter. Oh. It gives you a sense of the scope of the room. It's big.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. It's fun.
See, it's funny because in watching it, and then I'm sure like working on it, although you have a time stamp of like when you started to design, the sets almost start to run together because you're like, oh my god, how did they do all that? Well, yeah,
because I was here when I wasn't designing, I was decorating, so it's like it's all one big mishmash for me. Yeah.
Are you like a 9-day or 10-day shoot per episode?
It's usually we do it in blocks and pair blocks together. We're like 10 days for 2 episodes.
Oh wow, that's tight.
Yeah, it changes though depending on the scope of things and what needs to happen. So it's always a moving thing, but it's around that.
Yeah, considering how much you build per episode, that's a lot. That's a lot.
I know exactly. It's like it's when we're in production, it is mayhem. It is go, 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 go.
Plus, you're prepping the next block. So we all know how that goes.
Always.
It's not like you're just shooting and then you're like, la-di-da. Oh, next week, I don't know what I'm going to do with my week off. There's no more like built-in hiatuses anymore, unless you get one, which would be fantastic. But I haven't heard of anyone getting a hiatus in years.
No, hiatus. Oh my gosh, remember those?
Right?
Yeah, no. Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, no, we don't. I'm happy that we're now that we're working, and when a lot of people aren't. So I'm thankful for that.
So is it a WGA? Is it America? Is it an American show or is it a Canadian show?
Yeah, no, it's an American show. So we have scripts that we're just in prep right now. We're not shooting.
Right.
So there's no like, so we're still in prep. We have scripts that were written before the strike happened.
Yeah.
So we have enough to prep to go on until, I mean, very soon we're going to hit a wall where we can't do more without writers or actors. That really hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. I was on a show that we had 7 scripts, but they still shut it down. And that was annoying because it was before the actor strike. So they could have, I feel like they could have.
Oh no. Do you think it'll come back though?
Yeah, they're supposed to. I mean, the producer's been in touch and everything and so lovely about like, you know, can't wait to see you again. But it's
don't know when.
Who knows when, but.
Such a weird time in the industry, eh?
Yeah. It's it's weird and it's sad because I think all people just want to be, you know, treated fair. I don't think anybody's really asking for like a ridiculous get.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And you look at the numbers and like what everybody's asking for, it just doesn't seem that crazy if the executives take a little bit of a pay cut, maybe.
Well, the other thing is, like I've said, they've been under this new contract for years. They've gotten away with a lower rate for all of these shows. So you kind of got away with it for a really long time. Bravo. And now it's time to be like everybody else. It's not.
Yeah. And also it's about the transparency too, about like.
Oh, yeah. Like you don't know.
Like let's share the info, you know?
Don't you find that weird? Because I've done streaming shows too of like, well, it's out. Like, it's out. I don't know who's watching it.
Yeah. People could watch the whole series in a day and like, nah, that's it.
Yeah.
Now what do I do?
And you don't, I mean, you're kind of like, oh, it's on Netflix, sometimes they'll tell you if it's #1. I don't even know if those things are true. I think it's just like to get you to watch something based on your watching algorithm.
Do you remember like we used to be able to get the reports and like the numbers, like 500,000 people watched the first episode.
The Nielsen ratings used to come out like what, every Thursday morning or whatever, and you'd be like, oh man, we tanked it last night.
Yeah, so funny.
Now it's like, oh, I don't know, we picked up for another season. Yeah, that's nuts because I don't know anybody who watches this. And then you're like,
are we trending on TikTok? Is that the metric now? Like how we measure things?
Do you have any favorite sets that you've done? Either design or decorating?
Season 4, I'm really proud entirely of season 4. I feel like my little team worked really hard and we just killed it. I loved adding a kitchen to the mansion set.
Yeah.
That was very satisfying, even though, you know, vampires don't eat.
Yeah.
It still feels like the heart of the home. And we just needed that. So that was a fun one. Like I was saying, the technical stuff was really cool for me to figure all that out. I found that super interesting. I loved the cabin that we did, Sean's family cabin, hunting cabin.
Oh, yeah.
We built that in studio. That was a fun one to do. Fun locations, like Richie Suck's apartment. I don't know if you remember that one. Yeah. Crazy stories. We went in like the day we started set dressing that and it was flooded. It was like freezing cold outside. It was flooded. I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to shoot in here? There's like 6 inches of water, but miraculously all the water went away and we just shot it. It was great.
That guy had a problem. That guy needed the location money.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then, it wasn't really, it was a silo. It was like an old, it wasn't a home by any means. It was like a weird industrial tower, basically. And so we shot his apartment at the base of it.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you remember that character.
That's so
Richie
funny.
Suck. He was in the bar. a performer in Adja's bar.
Right.
And then the night market, the one that we submitted for the Emmy consideration, that was pretty fun. It was a satisfying install.
Do you find yourself now on the design side looking at like, oh, I know lighting wise this is going to be candles, or this is going to be like, are you making design choices based on more candle lit rooms, or
not so much, but I do have a good feel for the lighting on the show, because like I say, a lot of the early years, a lot of the lights were what I could provide, you know, and then we sort of hammered out what looked best and what worked and what type of light bulb. And, you know, we did flicker bulbs for the longest time because it looks like a flame on camera. And then, you know, the lighting or the lack of lighting can impact a set like immensely.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, it's like everything. So I focus a lot on lighting, actually, and, you know, collaborating with our DPs to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we like the feeling. And lighting can be sculptural, it can be give you ambiance, and could be, you know, where things fall off into darkness, can give you so much grace and so much drama.
Yeah.
You know, so lighting is very much a key element. And when I think about our sets here on Shadows.
Yeah, and it's beautifully done, and I have had a hell of a time the last couple shows with like everything being have to do like be changed over to LED.
Oh yeah, well, there's like, that whole chestnut, right?
Yeah, so that's fun.
Yeah, but it depends who you ask how they feel about LED versus incandescent, and it's a whole new world. I heard that we're not going to be able to even get incandescent bulbs soon,
no.
Like at all.
There's a whole thing too in California. If you want to buy certain fixtures, they won't even send them to California because of the type of bulb. Like California doesn't allow them anymore. So that's a whole that's like a whole thing. It sucks.
Yeah, we do a lot of custom lighting too on the show. We like our wiremen are very busy because we're constantly trying to reinvent and make things neat and not boring.
Yeah. Well, I don't. There's not one episode has ever been boring in my watching all of it. Yeah. So fantastic. Let me see. I want to ask you about the hardware too, because it's blowing my mind that you have time to decorate, now design, and have a amazing hardware business. They're beautiful, beautiful designs. How did you get into that?
So that was a result of the film industry, actually, because there would be, you know, between gigs, I found that there'd be like this, you know, you're working, you're getting paychecks, you're earning, you're doing, you're creative, and then the job would stop. And if you didn't have another job lined up, you're either, you know, creatively bored or broke or both.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, I wanted to design a business for myself that could be a creative outlet, and that could be something that I would start as like a side hustle on the side. So have another stream of income.
Yeah. Smart.
And that, you know, just try it and see how it goes. And I love things. I love stuff. I love hardware. And you know, I've always found that the hardware that I could get locally was never as exciting as I wished it was. So I made my own. And what started as a side hustle is now a small company that's, you know, thriving, and I'm sending hardware all over the planet.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Do you use it on the show?
I have a couple times. I'll just bring in like things that are, you know, seconds or pieces that are marred that you'll never notice on camera, but I couldn't send to a high-end design firm or something, you know, I can't sell it. So I'll just bring it and put it on the set. So I've done that a few times.
That is fantastic. They're beautiful pieces. I looked all through it. Like, I was like, wow,
thank you so much.
So
I love
smart.
bronze. I love the process of casting bronze, and I love experimenting with it. And it's resonating with the folks out there, the designers and stuff. And so
it's very unique, and the craftsmanship looks amazing on it too.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's my other baby. It's tough. I'm not gonna lie, running a company and running the teams here, and, you know, being the production designer on a busy show, but I don't think I'd have it any other way. Like, I am a creative person. I need these outlets to feel like I'm alive. So I keep them going.
People are like, "Oh, it's so nice you have the time off with your." I have twin boys, and I'm like, "Yeah, I love it." I was like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I keep myself really busy." Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a day off really with the podcast and them and like everything.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh, you have twins. How old are they?
4.5. They just went to school last week, so I really
my
like
gosh,
they're at
so
school all day now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, I really do have time to like do shit.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
yeah,
Oh, I love it.
it's been
Love the
amazing.
little boys.
I know they're the best. I'm glad. I love girls. I'm a girl, but I'm glad I had boys.
Yeah. I have a little boy too, so I get it. I
Oh,
get the little boy.
yeah, I don't know how
Yeah.
old.
He's 12.
12. Oh, I can't take it. I just want them to stop.
I know,
growing.
it's a weird one, like, growing up and when he's got his friends over and their voices have cracked and they're like, it sounds like teenagers in the house. I'm like, I'm not ready for this.
No.
I just got used to like being out of diapers or you know what I mean? Like it's just
I
time
know.
flies.
Isn't it the best to bring them to set and get pictures? That must be an
Yeah.
amazing set to bring a kid to.
Yeah, well, it's been COVID, right? So I couldn't bring him recent years.
Oh, yeah.
But I brought him here the other day during our prep here, and it was fun for him because our special effects guys came by and they were talking about blowing stuff up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And then when I go home and talk about work, he's like, "Well, I feel like I know everybody there now, so tell me, what did so and so say?"
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna bring
that's
him back because he had a good time.
I would
That's cute.
I usually will sneak mine onto the set on when we have to work a weekend and we're the only ones
Right.
there. Then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you can
Aw.
come. One time they helped do a little restaurant. They were putting the salt and pepper shakers on the tables.
Yeah.
They like loved it. I was like, oh, good. But you're not gonna do
Yeah, I
this.
remember
Like-
when he was really little, I brought him to a set once and he opened the fridge and there was like fake food in there and he was like, wow. He's like, look, Mom, it's a fake strawberry. I'm like, I know, put it back.
Yeah. Yeah, that is like it helps a little bit of like, oh, I might have missed something or I didn't get to tuck you in that night, but like, look, you got to see mommy work. Like we say that all the
Yeah.
time, like I want to go back to mommy work, and like,
Yeah.
so that's always good.
funny. Love it.
So I won't see you. I will meet you because I'm your governor, but I won't see you till January now, which is a bummer. Are you going to come to the
Yeah.
Emmys?
The Emmys? Coming to the Emmys?
Yeah.
Of course I'm going to come.
Okay, good. So then I'll meet you then. You never know schedule-wise. Some people aren't able to come, but you never know. But
Yeah, wouldn't miss it because, we were nominated in season 2
mhm.
and that was like the height of COVID. Like there was no travel. I couldn't even leave my house.
Oh.
So I watched it all
Mwah.
from home, so I'm coming
Oh,
to the
good.
Emmys.
Oh, good.
hmm Yeah.
Are
I
you?
hope maybe they'll settle soon and they'll move it up. Do you think there's any possibility of that?
No.
No.
I think that it was hard enough to move the date and to get it coordinated,
Yeah.
like with the network and like the
Right.
venues and everything. So
Of course, yeah.
I think that it's January, and then if it's not settled close to that, they have to push it, or I don't know what they'll do. So
It's got to be settled.
I know.
Tell me it'll be settled.
I know. Hoping. I just heard something like maybe Labor Day, after Labor Day, the writers might. But I don't know where, everybody hears something and you're like, where'd you hear that? Like, I don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. How truthful. Words through shores. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So who knows? But I hope it's got to be soon, right? It's got to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ridiculous,
But it's
right?
gotta be someday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't go on for much longer.
Are you watching anything, or have you seen anything lately that you find inspiring?
I want to rewatch Peaky Blinders. I love that show.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I love the way it looks. I love the mood. I love the vibe. I love the acting.
Another dark
I love
show.
that show.
Yeah.
The dark show, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a vibe, and I can get sucked into it, and I really liked being there in that particular one. What else have I watched lately?
I
enjoyed?
worked with that DP, and he's amazing, and his work is phenomenal. So beautiful work.
Yeah, it's
on that
beautiful.
show.
I just love it. I love everything about it. I want to rewatch it again.
That's a good
Just
one.
eat it up at the weekend. Yeah. Trying to think. Yeah, I've been watching stuff, but I just can't think off the top of my head. I've been into like low budget horror movies.
Oh, that's a good genre.
I don't know why. It's just, because I can watch them with my son, and sometimes I get a little saturated with all the big budgets and all the glossy stuff. I just want to see, like, full-hearted filmmaking.
Yeah.
Where people are trying to do a lot with a little.
Are you talking like Friday the 13th? Like, what do you, or like?
I don't know. There's all those, oh my God, my words are leaving me right now. There's that series. I can't even think of the name.
Final Destination?
No. Wow. I'm getting old. I can't even think of the name of this series.
I say that all the time, like my vocabulary is gone. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, just basically stuff that just like, the projects, they feel so earnest, like, that they had like $6 million and they're trying so hard to like get it, I don't know, find that interesting.
Well, and probably a little bit of research for you.
Yeah, I guess. It's just stuff I can watch with my kid and get him excited about filmmaking, and then I'll say to him, like, how do you think they did that, or what did you think of that scene, or were you scared there, or did you...
That's good. I'm gonna remember that. That's a good bonding. That's a good bonding. So far, I've given. I let them watch Ghostbusters, but I've taken out a couple parts, and then they love Sandlot.
Right.
So
Ghostbusters. Remember, my kid loved that movie. Like when he was really young. Like I think we've seen it like 16 times or something ridiculous.
Oh yeah, they love it. They play Venkman and I Got Slimed, and
they
like know lines already. I love it.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
Thank you so much for cutting out this time for me, and I'm sorry if I kind of stalked you on social media to get you.
No, that's okay. Thank you so much for chatting with me. And like, I there's a whole inbox I just realized I have on my phone, on the Instagram, I didn't know about.
It's a lot of messages there. It's weird too, because I always hesitate to contact someone because I feel like when I'm like, oh, I have a message, like I didn't even know I had a message on there. It didn't tell me for like a week or something. Like, it's not very good.
There's a whole inbox that it's like you have to like say, yes, I want access to this inbox.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of messages that some of them were really old, and I'm glad I saw your message.
Yes, me too, because I'm a fan, and I'm also was totally intrigued how you moved up and like how you're handling it. Sounds like you're on point. So it sounds like
thank you so much.
I'm excited to meet you eventually, and so excited to see another season of the show. So
well, there's a few episodes left of season 5 that haven't aired yet, so there's some fun stuff coming up. And season 6 is looking like it's gonna be a rip-roaring good time. There's some crazy stuff that happens.
Oh, I can't wait. I love it. So thank you, and I will see you soon. I owe you a drink.
Okay, awesome.
It was so nice to speak with her, and I kind of stalked her on social media to see if she wanted to do the podcast, so I'm glad that she responded, because I really do love the show, and I'm so mad I forgot to ask her about that theme song. Oh, God, I love that theme song. The first time I like binged this series, it was in my head for days and days. I love it. So I forgot to ask her about that. But, well, good luck to everyone. Good luck to everyone who is nominated. Emmy voting ends on August 28th. So there's many nominees to listen to. And if you are not a voter, you can still listen to all of these wonderful people talk about how creative they are in TV. The Creative Emmys will be January 6th and 7th. So even though voting ends next week, the Emmys have been pushed due to the writer's strike. So the Creative Emmys also have been pushed till early next year. Bummer. So, let's talk about next week. Next episode is production designer Liz Bischoff, who is this gem of a little show, which is from Canada and then now is on the CW. They have it online. I was very confused, but production designer Liz Bischoff talks about this show called Son of a Cringe. It is basically like the Wonder Years, but it's in Newfoundland, and it's a crazy little town set in the 80s. It's kind of like the Wonder Years-ish. And Malcolm McDowell plays this grouchy old grandpa, which is kind of funny. And he shares a bedroom with his, like, I don't know if he's 8 or 10-year-old grandson. So comedy ensues. So I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim One Up for Decorating Pages.